Hey guys, welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. This is episode 264. Yeah. Today we are talking about Marvel's Original Sin event storyline. Like I said before, the Marvel storyline comes after Infinity and is somewhere between, I think we still have Inhumanity to come up, and then we get into like Secret War stuff, if I remember correctly. I could be totally wrong. We'll figure that out as we go. So there is an issue 0 with Original Sin. That one was done by Mark Waid. Kind of ties in a little more of the Watcher's backstory. And of course, if you don't know who the Watcher is, he's the guy who watches things. You know, it's more than just a clever name. Nova, or Sam Alexander, I think is his name, full name, but he's Nova, the new Nova. He wants to know about his father, who he hasn't seen in a very long time, presumed dead. And through that, Sam learns the origins of the Watchers, why they don't step in and help humanity or any other thing, like why they just sit back, record things, and just, do nothing, just watch. And he learns, like, it's not just them that they watch the entire multiverse, all the endless possibilities that could happen. And so it's a pretty good crash course on the Watchers and why Uatu and the others chose a vow of silence when back then they used to step in, they used to help, and how that backfired on them and everything. So that's a really good story. The regular series issues 1 through 8 is written by Jason Aaron, and art is by Mike Deodato and Frank Martin. Sorry, I gotta look back at my notes just to be sure I get things right. And so it's like I said, your main characters in here is going to be the Watcher, Uatu. Well, namely his eyes, because, spoiler alert, the whole reason why this kicks off is because the Watcher dies. And the other big character is going to be Nick Fury and his secret, dark, mysterious past. Ooh. And then this crazy, weird character that Jason Aaron created in his Ghost Rider run, called the Orb. And the Orb is actually an older character who was this dude that used to ride around in a motorcycle helmet, because, Ghost Rider, that was an eyeball. So he wore like an eyeball motorcycle helmet. Well, Jason Aaron decided to like up the effed up factor and made the new Orb someone who was actually born with an eye for a head. And then he had to learn how to talk with his eye, and it's really, really weird. So that's who we're like mainly dealing with. Of course, you have the Avengers, X-Men, like everyone else plays a part in all this, but those are like your 3 main characters, and Captain America plays a big role as well, because he's the one who brings in Nick Fury to all this. The only way I can really assume Marvel came up with the idea of Original Sin was, 1, it's been a while since the heroes have had some tension between each other, and this was a great way to do that. 2, they wanted to shake up some origin stories to add new characters and add new depths to the origin stories, which also made some characters mad at each other, like Tony Stark and Bruce Banner. They start to butt heads because of the events of Original Sin, and I don't know. Those are the only 2 things I could come up with why Original Sin happened. They just wanted, it's like, how long has it been since our heroes have fought in each other? About a few years? Alright, let's give them something to be mad at it with each other. And then, hey, we need to make some new characters for the new hip crowd. And so they do that. And they did come up with some really cool characters. So one of my favorites being Silk, who came out of Original Sin with the Amazing Spider-Man. And so she's been a really big staple in the Marvel Universe and with the Spider-Verse stuff. And so that's been really fantastic, her character coming out of this. Let's see. So the story of Original Sin, like I said, the Watcher gets murdered. Everyone's trying to figure out what the hell happened. So it starts as this crazy murder mystery. Captain America and the Avengers come on to Uatu trying to figure things out. Captain America decides to bring in Nick Fury for help and his expertise. Of course, Nick Fury had been around for a very long time. Always been young. Now that I think about it, that's kind of weird. But so Nick Fury gets brought on, and he's like, we got a murder mystery. We need to figure stuff out. While all this is happening, another team of would-be Avengers is being brought together by an unknown source. This guy is hiring the Black Panther, Winter Soldier, Ant-Man, Gamora, Doctor Strange, the Punisher, if I didn't say that already. And he's teaming them up. Like, one of the weirdest team ups was Doctor Strange and the Punisher, but it turns out to be really cool at the same time. Somehow they just work kind of great together in a weird way. You had the Winter Soldier, Black Panther, or no, who was the Winter Soldier with? Gamora, for sure. I can't remember who else he was with. They go into space to try to track down what the hell's been trying to track down the killer through space, because what they do find is this crazy bullet in the Watcher, which was made from gamma radiation, and I don't think Bruce Banner did it, but so they're going off to space to try to figure that out. And then you have Black Panther, Ant-Man, and Black Widow, I think. Or did Black Widow? I don't know. But it's crazy. Just trust me on this one. Actually, I may have wrote it down. I didn't. So, anyway. So these three teams, bizarre teams, go off and try to figure out what's been going on. See if they can find any clues to everything. And that would be RJ coming home. So as our teams gather more information, they start to come to different conclusions at who might be behind this, who they can trust, and what the hell is really going on here. While all this is happening back on Earth, the Avengers, through clues and other villainous things that are happening, start to track down who's behind, who actually stole the Watcher's eyes, because someone ripped his eyes out of his freaking head, which is the most gruesome thing that I've ever seen in a Marvel comic ever. But that leads them to Dr. Midas, which I guess he turns everything to gold. His daughter, the Exterminatrix, which I swear is not a porn name, but it definitely sounds like a porn name. And the Orb, the guy who is, has an eyeball for a head. Why is he not suspect number one on who steals eyes? In fact, he's spouting off crazy nonsense about how he likes to roll in beds of eyeballs, and he can talk to them and other weird eyeball things. So why is he not your first suspect? I guess it's because, assuming he had to go to the moon to steal the Watcher's eye and then come back. Yeah, that's some pretty crazy stuff. Well, with the conflict between them and the Avengers, the Orb decides that the eyeball is a bomb and sets it off, which it does explode, but not in the boom kind of way you would expect. It holds secrets, and basically it's like a mind bomb, or a secret bomb. And so, whoa, you okay, RJ?
Yep, he just dropped my phone.
Okay, that's scary. So it was a boom like that, and so the eyeball explodes, showing people all these secrets that they didn't know about and are now coming to light. And it messes with them. It destroys a lot of them, not physically, but mentally breaks them down. Thor finds out he has a sister that he had no idea ever existed in the 10th realm, which no one had any idea there was a 10th realm. And then you have Bruce Banner realizing Tony Stark may have played a hand in him becoming the Hulk by messing with equipment. Tony sees the same thing. Spider-Man learns about Silk, another person who was bit by the spider. So all these things are happening to these people. It's traumatizing them. And these are crazy events that have been a part of their lives for generations or years. And now they're just finding out about them. So, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with that that's really messing with them. So after all that happens, though, the Orb gets taken into custody. People are just trying to figure out who killed the Watcher. Okay, all this is, we have to deal with this crap, but who killed the Watcher? And the Orb maintains his innocence. We didn't kill him. Yeah, we took his eye, but we didn't kill him. And so that's starting to be kind of crazy. So you cut back to all the space teams and the under-Earth teams and everything. They're finding tons of dead bodies, the same bullets that were used to kill the Watcher in these bodies. And this crazy monsters, interdimensional beings, things that just not just some normal person could kill. It has to be someone who's good at killing, has the means to get to these places to kill these creatures and like just all this crazy stuff. But the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes learns it might be someone a little closer to home than they originally thought, and that leads him to go off back to like a space station around Earth and to confront who's actually behind all the murders. Who it is? It turns out it's Nick Fury. Spoilers. It doesn't work if I say spoilers after I spoil the thing, but it turns out it's Nick Fury, and it's not the Nick Fury that we've seen in the comics and everything. It's an old Nick Fury. As it turns out, he's been making life model decoys of himself to, handle things and keep his young, awesome persona. But that's going to change soon because he's rapidly aging and is about to die. And that's not good. And the whole idea for him behind sending these different teams off and to learn about what he's been up to for all these years and what he possibly did now is he's looking for a successor. He's looking for someone to step in the roles of what he's been doing, and what he's been doing, as you learn through one of the issues, is protecting the Earth from all these things. He's the one who's killed all these creatures, monsters, interdimensional beings, and he's been keeping the Earth safe while doing it. And like Doctor Strange, like brings up the point, like, well, we still get attacked. He's like, yeah, but it could be a lot more, if it wasn't for me. And so it's just some really crazy space interdimensional espionage stuff that of course Nick Fury is behind. Of course Nick Fury is behind all this stuff. And so I'm trying to think how it's just crazy, man. Like just how it all happens is crazy. It just kind of blows your mind a little bit. But it's a good story, and of course it all ends with everyone figuring it out. Everyone comes to a head. People don't know who to trust. Like the space teams don't know who's actually behind or helping Nick Fury. The Avengers don't know what the hell's going on because all these people were just gone, and then now they're all showed up in the same place. Nick Fury's old. Captain America's freaking out because his best friend he thought he knew everything about, he knew nothing about. And so it's all coming to this big fight at the end where everyone, like Nick Fury dies, kills Dr. Midas, who went crazy and tried to kill them all at the same time. The Orb, he's just the Orb. He actually gets fused with one of Uatu's eyes. Same thing happened to Nick Fury. Instead of him actually dying like he should die, he gets fused with Uatu's other eye, and he becomes like the new Watcher. The Orb becomes Crazy Orb, but with Watcher-like powers. And then at the end of it, Winter Soldier decides, hey, I'm going to be the new Nick Fury. Which that's going to change because out of Secret Wars, we get an actual new Nick Fury. But he's going to be the guy behind the scenes doing the Nick Fury things, is what Bucky Barnes is going to be doing. And so it's all kind of crazy. It all kind of ends in a hurry to me. And that's why it kind of gets explained in a hurry here in my review. A lot of it is just a lot of original sin. Is kind of like the murder mystery of it all. Them trying to figure things out. Them kind of getting flashbacks about everyone's past. Of course, they spent a whole issue out of 8 issues about Nick Fury and his past, which, spoiler alert, he's the guy who did everything. And then they kind of, spend another issue going back to how he did it and how things came across and stuff like that. It's not a bad story. I actually like it. I think what I like most about Original Sin is what it sets up, the characters it creates, the new friction between other heroes that it creates, and I think that was a good part about it. Not a huge event. I mean, it affects a lot of people, but it's not like the event to end all events, which I like. Crossover events are fun, and if they don't change everything, you can still have some of your favorite characters not be affected by it while still feeling the effects of it, if that makes any sense. Not like with Infinity, where everyone's involved, or Secret Wars, where everyone's involved, or Civil War, where everyone's involved, that kind of stuff. And so I did like this story a little bit more. Plus, it wasn't, although you still had some heroes getting upset with each other, tensions being high, and some actually still kind of fighting each other, it wasn't like this huge heroes on this side versus heroes on that side, which, the same with Infinity. It wasn't heroes fighting each other. And so right now, still digging it. It's not too big. Unlike Infinity, it was one story, contained story. where people kind of branched off to do other things, but it was for the same thing. Like in Infinity, it felt like I was getting 3 different stories, and then they all just kind of came together, not because of the story, but just because they came together at the same time. And so that's why I kind of liked Original Sin a lot better than Infinity. Artwork on it, Mike Deodato does some great artwork, which I love. It's really cool. The way he does his shadows, the way my wife just appears out of no. I love you, babe. Story on it, pretty good. Jason Aaron does a really great job of storytelling in all of his books, and this is no different. It was exciting. It was a murder mystery. It had me until I kind of figured it out, probably about halfway through, like who did it. You know, I was intrigued. I wanted to know what was going on. You got a lot of cool hints at who it was, and a lot of cool like tags or teasers, and so that was really cool about that. Other than that, I don't know what else to say. It was good, looked good, and wasn't too much to take in, you know. So it definitely was a good crossover event for me. Now, if anyone else hated it, that's your own problem. Deal with that. But as far as rating goes for Original Sin, I will give it a what kind of charge? Positive, negative, or neutral?
Oh.
Okay, it's a positive charge. Oops, I dropped her food. I knocked it out of her hands. I'm sorry. Anyway, guys, check it out. If you don't have the books or can't buy the books, definitely get the Marvel Unlimited app. I love using it so much. It lets me go back and read all these old Marvel stories. I say old, but this was done in like 2014, 2015. So, but it lets you go check out all these storylines. You can even go back further. I could go back to the first Spider-Man, the first Fantastic Four, and read all those. But no, I'm not going to do that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know we rambled a bit longer than we normally do on these videos. I just had a lot to talk about, I guess, or a lot to ramble on about. Anyway, if you want to continue with the podcast, please head over to bry-fy-podcast.podbean.com, or you can check out on Apple Podcasts, on Wicked Radio Network, Geek Life Radio. I'm on Google Play, Spotify, Podbean's service. So go check all those out, and you can listen to the rest of the show. If you like what we're doing here, you want to support, and you don't want to share, share it, let your friends know and everything like that. But if you want to do something a little bit more, you can head over to my Patreon and sign up there for $1 a month. That gets you bonus content, lets you see the inner workings of the podcast. I post like quarterly updates on how we're doing, and I also look for other suggestions and stuff. So if you want to take part of the show and pick things out and not creep in the background, you can definitely head over to Patreon and get your opportunities to do that there. And with the more Patrons that we get, the more stuff that I can also provide, like in gifts and just kickback from that. So hopefully that all works out. But that's going to be it for the YouTube portion of the podcast. So head over to the regular podcast portion of the podcast, and you won't get any of this. You won't get any of the sweetness of Casey or anything. Just
I look like caca.
You don't look like caca. You look like Lilu. Or who was the other one? Haley Williams. Or who else do you get?
That's it.
That's it. Those are the only 2 orange-haired people that ever existed. I like to call her Tonks because her hair color changes like every other week. Anyway, guys, that's it. I will see y'all with the Nifty Nerd News.